Hi there, my name's Gordon Farragher. This recording covers, well, a massive VAT fraud that's been prevalent over the last 15 years or so. Probably not quite as prevalent now as it used to be, but it's still something that accountants and tax advisors need to be aware of to watch out for so they don't inadvertently fall into it. It's a fraud that Revenue and Customs call MTIC fraud. That stands for Missing Trader Intra-Community. And if it gets reported in the press, it's more commonly referred to as carousel fraud. So how does it work? Well, you get a number of VAT-registered businesses, a number of them in the UK and one of them in another EU state. So I've just sort of set 3 random companies up in the UK and I've got one in Germany. Now, in the heyday of this fraud, it used to involve computer chips and mobile phones. They actually then, eventually, after a good few years, they did change the VAT rules to prevent the fraud working for computer chips and mobile phones specifically. But it does, I'm told, still work for other items. And as I say, it's a fraud that you can get innocent people sort of lured into inadvertently without realising what's going on, which is why I want to just sort of share knowledge with people of what this fraud is. It's not exam related, by the way. If any of you are doing exams with tax in it, you won't see this appearing in any exam syllabus. It's just something that accountants and tax advisors should be aware of to avoid and warn their clients against. So how does it work? Well, you start with £1 million of goods, ideally sort of small valuable things in the foreign company. And you get those goods dispatched from the foreign company into A Limited. Now, thinking about how overseas transactions are dealt with, A Limited would give their VAT number to D, so D would zero rate the supply in Germany. So A now acquires these goods tax-free. A will reverse charge the goods, so A will have output VAT of 200,000 and then they'll recover that as matching input VAT in the VAT return in which they acquire the goods. So at the moment these goods in A Limited are VAT neutral. Now A will then sell the goods to B, usually for about the same amount of money. So A Limited will charge B £200,000 of output VAT. So that's VAT that should be sitting in A, and A now owe to Revenue and Customs. B then sell the goods on to C. The reason for the carousel is just to sort of break the goods up, make it harder to see what's going on by the tax authorities. So B largely has matching input VAT and output VAT. C will now dispatch the goods back to D. Now, C has suffered input VAT from B, but they will get a VAT number from D, so they can then zero rate the supply to D. So what we've now got is a position where A owes VAT to HM Revenue and Customs of 200,000, and C is due to recover input VAT of 200,000. Now, of course, what happens is C recover the VAT on their next VAT return, A never bother to pay the VAT they owe. But the goods don't just go round once, they go round again and again and again, and these same goods will go round the carousel hundreds of times. So by the time they've done this, A now owes many millions and millions of pounds to Revenue and Customs, but C have recovered many millions of pounds from Revenue and Customs. What then happens is A disappears. A goes missing owing the money. C has already got the refund of VAT from Revenue and Customs. That money is then shared amongst the criminals, and they walk away with an absolute fortune. In its heyday, this fraud was worth 4 to 5 billion a year, I'm told. I don't think it's as much now, but it's still something to watch out for, and it is something that if you are lured in, it's a very dangerous thing because there are some quite serious criminals involved, and it tends to be the ones sort of duped in who get caught, and you will do serious jail time for this. So not something to get into lightly, well, not something to get into at all.